So I yanked it back off the stand with Clifford the Big Red hoist. With one chain hooked into the lower engine mount bolt hole here, and one chain hooked into the inner starter bolt hole. All I'm going to do is set it on the floor so I can use an impact gun to take those bolts out. Just going to give the Harbor Freight gun a chance at these. Now we're going to take off the rear main seal cap holder, this thing. I'm also going to go ahead and finally take the oil filter off while I'm here. A lot of the time you'll find it's easier to just take the head off of the stand, mount it to the block, and then get this whole thing lined up. But sometimes you're just feeling lazy. Just make sure you're not forcing any threads. Okay, we're going to take all of the main caps off, and we can finally get out the crankshaft. Wiggle everything around, and it should... That was a little violent, but you get the idea. You usually don't see a lot of wear on a thrust bearing. Now we can finally take a good look at all the crank bearing surfaces. And I can tell you I don't love any of these. They're not horrific, but they're not lovely. Generally speaking, if you can feel it, then it needs to be machined. Now, I'm not gonna do that. Later on we're gonna try to polish this thing. I'm very curious what that'll do about this surface finish. And then all you gotta do is lift it out. I feel like half the things I'm saying are just telling you to be careful. Yeah, you should probably be careful. Straight up and out. Also it's heavy, so you know, don't drop it. Yep, straight up. Yep, heavy. Just wanted to point out these little keys here. These are actually not part of the crank. These are Woodruff keys. You can usually just leave them in there. They get stuck in there good enough they're not going to fall out on their own. Now you can just pop out the lower bearing halves. I said pop out. These are not going to be reused, so you don't have to be too careful with them. That being said, it doesn't mean you should get out the air chisel. Let's see what we can do about the camshaft. For the camshaft, the age-old trick is to unthread two of these and get some nice long 5/16 bolts to give you a handle. You want to be very careful taking the camshaft out that you're not scratching anything. And be nice. Whisper sweet nothings if you have to. And watch out for the distributor gear on this thing. There you are. This thing is in pretty good shape. I'm gonna leave the cam bearings. They look in pretty good shape. A lot of engine builders never touch those. I think they will be just fine. So this is cylinder 7, and it is obviously our problem. The steel is completely blown apart. This is the coolant passage it was leaking to, and this is where that broken head bolt was. My buddy Sean bought this compressor to use on the 280Z engine, but we didn't end up needing it. But I think I'll give it a whirl for this one. We'll see how it works out. Well, that certainly didn't work. Okay, I'm gonna give this guy one more chance. I kinda tapped it back straight with a sledgehammer. Last time I kinda tapped on all the valves with a mallet. This time I'm gonna beat the hell out of them to make sure they're not stuck in there. So before, I'd given these guys a little tap. This time I'm gonna be a little more violent. So I am using this little piece of rubber between this side of the tool and the valve, just because it'll make me feel better about it. This thing sure it does not want to stay centered. Yeah, as soon as you start turning this guy moves. Well, it is starting to bend the tool already. Let's see. Aha. Just trying to break loose the keepers here. And once they're loose, you can just grab them with the little magnet. And try not to lose these little guys. And then, nice and careful, back it off. And everybody's gonna come right out of there. That's great, okay. So the exhaust valves are gonna have these rotators on the top. It kinda lets them turn around while everything's working and spreads out the heat. And just like everything else, I'm gonna keep all these parts together. That's pretty good. Since valves are mated to their seats, you don't want to mix these up. And since I'm gonna take both the cylinder heads apart at the same time, I'm gonna mark these 1 and 2 for left and right, for driver and passenger side, just to make sure all the valves end up where they were supposed to be. And let's try the same thing on the intake valve. A little tap on the side is okay, but do not hit it hard because you could do some damage to the valve guides in here. There's one. So this valve is stuck on that plastic ring. I'm just gonna get in there and try to break it. The ring is broken, pieces are coming out. Hopefully that does it. Yep. So same as the other side, except do not have rotators on the intake valves. The surface on that looks pretty decent too. So on the intake valves, also have these umbrella seals. Some sets only use one set of seals. Only 14 more to go. So this tool will work. And it does have a little more bend to it now than it did before. But it will work. It's kind of slow and annoying, but for 20 bucks, these actually ain't too bad. Unfortunately, none of the pieces it comes with actually fit these valves. These are all too small. I'm using the one step down from this one. They're all too small. They won't clip onto the edges like they're supposed to. So the valve spring compressor seems to work okay, but I'm way too lazy for it. 27/64 is close. It's a grade 5 7/16 nut. Beautiful. Threaded it back in and put the nut right on top, so it should keep it straight. Perfect. Interesting. This has seals on the exhaust valves. The other side did not. And there we are. Other side, done. Gonna have to check into this though. So indeed, this is interesting. I had only checked this head's casting number, that's a 191. But this head, the right side head, a 193. Has the two lines on the front and this has an arrow. So they are actually different castings. I need to do some more research on this, but to my understanding, the 191 came on the 3/4 ton trucks, while the 193 came on light duty trucks. And I believe they are very similar, but they're not the same. Funnily enough, I have 2 clean 193 heads in the garage already. So what I'm probably going to do is use those instead. So here's the valve train tray, all filled up. Looks pretty cool laid out like that, huh? Welding the nut on the end of this worked fantastic. The impact gun did it super fast, super easy. And look at that, it even still fits in the case. If it had one of these that was one size up, this thing would be perfect for this engine. Just put a little bit of tape on the inside of the cylinder wall to make me feel a little bit better about welding slag getting in there. This is a good fit. Right up against there. Okay, let's give it a go. I'm gonna try to get it real hot. I wouldn't recommend breathing any of this. Okay, this has cooled down for a couple minutes. Fingers crossed. Nope. There's a little gap in this corner. I'm gonna try to fill that up first. Come on. That suspects that that is working. Nope. So I just changed the wire in the welder from 030 to 035. So I'm gonna turn heat all the way up. I'm gonna give it one long hit to try to get a nice puddle that goes all the way through and really sticks to that stud. Definitely got it hot. Okay, gonna do the same thing one more time. What I'm also going to do is add a little vibration and give it a nice tap. Okay, third time is the charm. Very, very tight. Wow, okay. The weld is good. Give it a little bit of this vibration too. That's relief. I'll just have to pay extra attention when cleaning this area up to make sure there's no slag left on the surface. There you go. That is the toughest broken bolt I've ever gotten out with the welder. I had to get it white hot. What happened was the head gasket leak here not only leaked coolant, but it leaked exhaust gases right into this bolt hole. So this got completely packed with carbon. Just look at the surface of the bolt. It's completely covered. I can barely even wire brush this carbon off. So it's apart, but this project is nowhere near done. I'm waiting on a lot of parts to be delivered. But in the meantime, there's a whole lot of cleaning to do. But for this video, that's gonna wrap things up. Make sure you let me know what you guys think about this format. I'm still trying to figure out how I want to do these videos. And of course, thanks for watching. So the exhaust valves are going to have these rotators on the top. Okay, ready to go right back into service.